Well, I must say the following program that we have on Six Screens tonight, we're sharing the truth, the facts, and the news about the Watchtower organization. If you are a doubting Jehovah's Witness listening in, please do not turn a deaf ear. We are not here to hurt you. We are here to help you. Research what's being said tonight if you're listening in. Examine the content that you're hearing and decide if the Watchtower organization is the only channel of God's truth on the planet. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Rick Fearon, and I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. And how nice it is to be able to come to you. Been doing this now for 18 years. I'm kind of getting used to it. And I'm glad you guys are coming in. Our programs are really gaining a lot of momentum. And we're glad that we're having a good audience all the way around listening in to the Six Screens. And especially those that call in on the telephone line. We really appreciate it. And I'll put the telephone number up so you folks will be able to see it on YouTube and Facebook as well. But anyways, I had high hopes. I had really high hopes. And then my hopes were burst in the last week when we learned about Anthony Morris getting a home. Watchtowers, we all know, bought him a home, a duplex home down in North Carolina, Lumberton, North Carolina. And the Watchtower actually bought another home right near him. And some are saying that's where his friends and relatives might come and stay. But I was hoping that Tony, if he was disconnecting from the Watchtower, but he can't now. He can't disconnect now that the Watchtower bought him a home, or at least he can live there until he dies. So he's got a roof over his head. So I don't think he's going to be coming on. But I'll tell you what I do have here is I have a bottle of Macallan Scotch, not even open, Macallan Scotch. Now that, of course, that was Tony's. I guess it still is his favorite drink. And I was having high hopes, friends. I really was. And I was hoping that we could get Tony on our live program. That's what I was hoping. So I do have this bottle here. I was thinking that, maybe he might want to tell a story on the Six Screens. So I had the bottle ready. If Tony came on, I was going to offer it to him. But now that, Watchtower has helped him and he's committed to Watchtower, well, Tony doesn't need this bottle of scotch. I'm sure if Watchtower bought him a duplex, they could certainly buy him another bottle of scotch. But this is Tony's favorite drink. So Tony, I want to say this. If you're listening to the program tonight and you ever decide that you'd like to come on Six Screens and tell your story, I'm not going to open the scotch. I'm going to have this box. It's yours if you come on the program, Tony. So I just wanted to put that out and see what you think. And, I was hoping, really, I had high hopes. I'm not kidding, friends. I was having high hopes that if Tony had some disappointments with the Watchtower, or if he's had disagreements with the Watchtower, that he would come on our program. But it's here, Tony, if you want it. The bottle of scotch, your favorite. In fact, it's even a little better scotch, a little higher grade. I made sure this is special for you, Tony. It's even a higher grade than what you're used to. It's yours if you come on. Well, I wanted to mention that. I was hoping Tony could come on, but maybe in time. But now that he has that duplex, now that Watchtower has taken care of him, I don't think he's going to come on for a bottle of scotch. But anyways, I'm glad you're with us. My name's Rick Fearon, and I am coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, as we say, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. I've been thinking, friends, I really do. I think a lot. I mean, you guys think a lot about the Watchtower too, I believe. Many of you can kind of flush it out of your head and you move on, and there's no reason to continue to be involved with it in any way. But I just can't get it out of my head. And many people out there as well, some of the YouTubers and some of the activists, and the same thing. They can't get this religion out of their head. But I'm thinking in the last week, Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not really a religion. It really isn't. It's a mental disorder. Jehovah's Witnesses, it's the only conclusion I can come to. Jehovah's Witnesses are a mental disorder. They're not a religion. They could be much more accurately described as a mental disorder. That's how I'm describing them tonight. They're not sensible minded people. I've seen over the years that the membership of the organization results in mental cognitive dysfunction. The longer a person is in this organization, it results in more and more mental cognitive dysfunction. In other words, people can't think straight the longer they're in the organization. And also cognitive dissonance is replaced with, they don't have real virtues and grace like people who've been associated with a real mainstream religious church. They're so disconnected from Christianity, it's not even funny. They're counterfeit Christians. So I often think, I lay awake at night and I think, normal people don't join this organization. They really don't. And I know that many people were born in like I was. It's a little more difficult for born-ins. I mean, let's face it, you're born in. It's the only thing you know. Your mother talks to you about it. Your father talks about it to you. If they were both witnesses, you grow up in the organization. You're born in. It's all you know. It always reminds me of that story of the boy that got lost in the woods. Well, the mother that had the baby and the little baby got lost in the woods, and the wolves came and raised the baby. He acted like a wolf. Well, it's the same thing in the Jehovah's Witness organization. You can be a normal little kid, but geez, once you're raised in the Watchtower, you become like a Watchtower drone. So there are many people, even right now, sad to say, they're stuck in a living hell. That's what they're stuck in. They can't see their way out. It's like a prison, really. Now, I was a member for 50 years of my life. Yeah, in 1954. Well, I was born in 48. So in 1954, really, my mother somewhat came across the truth. And as a little boy, I became one of Jehovah's Witnesses, inculcated into this religion. My mother taught me all the things about the Watchtower. My father never was a witness. But then I was a witness from 1954, you could say, even though I was young, till 2005. And that's when Satan kicked me out of his organization back in 2005. I'm thankful for that. But, back then, when I can remember being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and many of you guys listening in tonight can go way back as well. I don't want this to sound like the old fogies network, but I have to tell you that if you go back and you think about things, let's just roll the clocks back, you'll find that this organization was different back then. People seem to be smiling a lot more. They had family gatherings and picnics. There's not as much of that going on now, but back then it was basically like you were in one big extended family. But it's not that way all through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up into the 2000s. It was a different organization. And even people somewhat acted normally healthy, more so than today. And many of them were functional adults. It's not necessarily the case today. And even the children, the Jehovah's Witness organization, were connected to each other. They smiled a lot. They were happy little kids. And the family gatherings and picnics and all that was different. It was like we had one big family, right? Do you remember that? Do you really remember that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But, I saw something about witnesses that maybe could be meaningful. I'm not trying to be a doctor here, but, my heart goes out for people with autism. When we had a person come on our program earlier, but, autistic people sometimes lose the ability, and I'm not in any way making fun of it at all. It's a sad state of affairs, but somehow I feel like Jehovah's Witnesses are like adults with undiagnosed autism. They're not quite able to put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together. And but we do know they do have mental disorders. Many of them have personality disorders, just like a narcissistic personality disorder. You could say many witnesses do have that. So what we're saying here is The Jehovah's Witnesses today are different than the witnesses of yesteryear. Uh, the Jehovah's Witnesses of yesteryear were way more positive, really. But when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I really remember there was people that were positive, and they had a different perspective, a different way about looking at things. But today there's a negative, critical, zombie-like personalities throughout the congregations. And I'm just gonna throw it on the table. When I say it was positive years ago, you say, well, Rick, well, what would be negative today? What the witness is saying today that's negative? Well, let me just say this. I'm a protester. I love to protest. So a month ago, we were outside the Songa Center here in Lowell. We were protesting. We had signs. We had some of the Six Screens protesting team out there with us. And we were protesting. And I can remember when we had one sign talking about all the pedophiles and child sex abusers in the Watchtower. And, well, one person went by, they read the sign, they slowed down, they yelled out the window, all organizations have pedophiles. So, see, to me, that's not a very positive statement. The person is admitting that the organization has pedophiles, right? They have sex offenders. So by making a statement, all organizations have pedophiles, they're acknowledging there's pedophiles in the organization. And that's some of the other negative thoughts or some of the negative things Jehovah's Witnesses are saying today. I mean, we've been hearing over and over again on jw.org, we are living in the final days of the last days, or the final days of the final days. I mean, at what point can you continue to believe what the Watchtower is saying? They're like the boy crying wolf. It's always coming. It's right around the corner. It's unbelievable. Obey us. And here's another thing. See, these are not my way of thinking. Positive statements the Watchtower is making, even through their publications. Here's another thing I'll throw on the table. How about obey us, even though it doesn't sound sensible? Is that a positive statement? How do you take it as a listener? When I listen to to obey us, even though it doesn't seem sensible, that sounds foolish. But these are the type of things that are coming out of the Watchtower today. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in the next couple of years in the Watchtower. I mean, considering so many right now are leaving, friends, the Watchtower is hemorrhaging. Young ones are fleeing. They're getting out in droves. Now, I'm going to tell you who's leaving. Let me just throw it on the table here. You're not going to get teeny boppers, young 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids leave. They still need the comfort of a home. They can't go out and work or do things. But I'm going to tell you the age group that's feeling problems, the witnesses that are 17 to 45 years old, 17 to 45 years old, they are the ones that are feeling the pressure right now. And they're the ones that are leaving. They're saying, that's it. I can't take this anymore. I have had enough. So they're the ones. I'm just going to check my telephone system here. I don't know if it just went out or what. But no, I guess it's still going. Okay. Sometimes when I have 6 different computers here running, so I have to check things from time to time. But witnesses that are 17 to 45 years old, they are packing their bags. And I feel sorry for anyone who's still one of Jehovah's Witnesses in their 50s and 60s. I mean, they are in a real pickle right now. They probably slowly realizing something's wrong with this organization, but it's going to be very, very hard to get them to wake up and leave because they invested so much time into this. And we've talked about that numerous times before. It's called some cost loss. You put so much time into it that you say, gee, I can't give up now. I got too much into it. So they'll never get this time back. These people 40 or in their 50s and up, there might not be too much hope for them. And they're going to die off, and that'll be it. And boy, I'll tell you, what a terrible life most of them have lived. I mean, a real terrible life. So when you stop and think about it, The Watchtower really has not done a thing for anybody. That's why there's so many young people leaving right now. So the conventions, let's talk about the conventions. The conventions are way down. The attendance is down. I mean, I've been talking about this for the last month, and it's just unbelievable. I just want to see if we do have some people. Looks like they want to come in and talk. Let me just see. Okay. All right. So what do you want to do, folks? If you just kind of stay cool on the telephone line, try not to make too much noise if you have your phone unmuted. But the convention attendance is way down. I'm going to bring you into a convention here, and it's in Minnesota. And let me see if I can't get that up so you can see it. The convention is in Minnesota, and it's very, very empty. And let me just make sure I got the right piece up. All right. Okay, this is the one right here. I'm going to play a clip. I want to play this clip. And this is a video that was taken inside the arena up in Minnesota. And I have to tell you that people are just not attending. People are just not attending the conventions like they were. We're going to show you some empty seats here. I think you'll find it fascinating because we've been doing this right along here on the 6 screens. We've been showing you attendance at these meetings. And let me tell you, these conventions are tanking. They are not in any way bringing people in. So let's see if we can't get this up for you right now. Let me share the screen with you. All right. So let's see if we got the right convention attendance. Way down. Let's. Okay, is that the one? Maybe. Let's bring this one on. Well, it might not be Minnesota, but if not, we'll get you Minnesota. We'll play this one. All right. This one here is the Santander Center in Reading, but we'll play Minnesota as well. But just listen to the video here. Just watch it on your screen. You'll see what we're talking about. There's no sound to it, but take a look. Take a look around. That's a Santander convention in Reading, Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania has been having that problem with child sex abuse. But look at those empty seats. The people in Pennsylvania are starting to figure this all out. Look at the empty seats. You never went to a convention like that in your life. Nobody's there, folks. What would you think if you were sitting in that auditorium and you're looking around and you see all those empty seats? And I'm going to show you another video after this up in Minnesota, the same thing. So why aren't the witnesses coming? They're not coming because they're finding out what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. That is a sad state of affairs. When we were going to the convention, at least myself, I'm sure many of you guys listening in, when we were going to the conventions, they were packed. And look at it now. That is just absolutely unbelievable. So you can see it. I mean, the witnesses are saying, "Oh no, we've got more people than ever. People are just coming out of the woodwork. They want to become Jehovah's Witnesses." That is a bald-faced lie. That's not the truth. I got pictures here. These videos are proving everything. Well, let's take a look. Let's see if we can't share another one here. Let's first of all get rid of this one. And I want to bring another one. I believe this one here may be the one that this is the one in Pennsylvania. So just give me a second to put this up. I have to kind of do a couple of tricks here to get this thing going. But let me see if I can't get this one up. Same thing. You're going to see empty seats all over the place. And this is, I'll tell you, I mean, it's ex-witnesses. We're glad to see that happen, right? All right. So let me see if we can't get this. Tennis way down. Maybe it's this one right here. Okay. Yeah, I believe it's this one. Let's share this one. So this is up in Minnesota. Now take a look at this one. There's no sound to it, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Take a look around. Take a look around. You can get the idea here what's going on. I mean, there's some empty seats, not as bad as the one down at the Santander Center. So there you go. Now, well, this one isn't too bad. I have to say that. But up top there, well, but this might be. You know what though? Wait a minute. This is the wrong video. This is actually showing before COVID, but there's still a lot of seats empty then too, but there'd be more empty right now. But you got the gist of it. Look at the empty seats, and that was even in 2019. So, but what I'm trying to do here is show you that attendance in the last few years has been tanking, but tanking mostly right now. Let's see what else we got here. I think we get some more attendance. We have some more things to share with you. But let's make sure this one goes off. All right. And let me get over back onto my, what I have to do here is bring up different screens. So let me get rid of this. Leave this one here. Let's go over here. All right, so let's take a look and see what else we got. We played that. So attendance is down. We get numbers coming in. Well, you just saw in 2019 what they're saying. It was that in Minnesota, the seats were pretty much taken. But this year around, they're saying lots and lots of empty seats. The person who took that video, that's what they're saying here now, that there was very many empty seats this time around. Back then, it wasn't too bad. So don't go with that 2019. If he didn't have videos of the 2023. But isn't there, in fact, what's going on? I'm getting reports coming into the 6 screens that there's a lot of doom and gloom in the atmosphere at the conventions. Again, I don't want to sound like an old fogey here, but remember back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there used to be some joy at the assemblies and the conventions. People were walking around, they were happy, they were joyous, and now it's mostly depressing. And when you go to a convention or assembly today, it's lowering one's energy. These are the reports we're getting coming in to the 6 screen from people who've been to the Exercise Patients Convention, and they're saying, geez, Rick, it was so depressing, and it was just unbelievably not showing any energy. It looks like we got Chewy coming in from Oklahoma. Go ahead, Chewy.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this week, and anyway, last year or 2 years ago, when the Ukraine war started, or the war in Ukraine started, he was all opinion and all this indicated the South and forth. He spent 20 minutes trying to explain how it was all going to work out, this and that, and after the assembly, oh boy, he was just all on fire. This year, I called him and he said, how'd your assembly go? And he had some family problems. But anyway, he went to it. He said, well, basically, what I got out of it, and he's about my age, he said, what I got out of it is if you're doing good, keep doing good. And if you're not doing any better, keep on doing not any better. And then be patient. So that's it.
Well, is that good admonition? Would you say, Chewy?
Oh, geez. It's good to assembly to hear that.
Jeez.
Come away with that.
Absolutely. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's crazy.
So what about that Kingdom Hall near your house? Have you gone by it lately?
No, we'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah?
I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd be kind of curious to see how many showing up there. Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah. Well, the last 3 times I've been by there in the last 2 or 3 months, the number's been pretty consistent. It's been about 30% in the parking lot, 30 to 35% of their parking lot of the amount of cars in the parking lot before COVID. It was about triple the amount that you see in there, and that number doesn't change. It's consistent. It's consistent.
Well, I mean, that's what's happening all over. Unless people are sending me wrong information, but boy, everywhere I look, the Kingdom Halls are tanking, parking lots are not full, assemblies, conventions are not being filled. It's tanking, Chewy. I mean, what else would you say?
Yeah, I mean, they lost that 30% somewhere. I mean, I'm more convinced of that than ever. You know, the stuff that you bring on, the stuff that Kim and Mikey bring on, the stuff I see on other forums, they've lost a good 30 to 40%. It's went off. You know, they're gone. They ain't getting those people back. Just think about it this way. They say, you know, we won't Watchtower to go. Just think about it this way. What would happen if everything stopped right now? All of our activism, everything, they just stopped. We didn't do any more activism whatsoever. We just left. Where would the Watchtower be at right now when Pennsylvania got done with them? Not that good a situation. Not that good. Think about that for a second. If we didn't do any more activism, if we shut down our doors tonight, what effect would the Pennsylvania stuff have on them? A bunch. So they still got a lot more coming. It's going to be very interesting next year and a half. Well, with this Pennsylvania thing going on and the numbers I got now.
Well, very good, Chewy. But what I did there is I just played a video clip from the Santander Arena down there in Reading, Pennsylvania. And man, the seats, it was so empty. And what's that showing me is, I mean, in Pennsylvania, it's headline news, especially right out of Reading. One of the Fox channels there is covering this witness problem big time. So there it is. We see it tanking. Thank you, Chewy, for coming in. Thank you.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, this is Justin. I haven't called in a while, but I always listen to the show. And I just wanted to piggyback off what you was saying and what you were saying as well. The numbers are just not there. For chemo, and I've mentioned this before. So I'm at the meeting. This was last Saturday. My meeting's on Saturday. And the brothers come up to me and they said, "Hey, we need you to hold the mic." And I said, "Hold the mic?" I said, "Am I qualified to do that?" So I went, "You are now." So I held the mic. I hadn't held the mic in years because I'm a people. I go regularly. So after the meeting, one of the elders came up to me and said, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna have to start using you now." I said, "Well, why? What's going on?" He said, "Well, the new security at the meeting, we got to have brothers at each entrance. So the hall I go to, they got a side entrance, they got two side entrances, and they got a front entrance. A brother has to sit at each entrance. They said that as a brother has to sit at the camera station. And then during the meeting, they have to go out to the parking lot, look under the cars, and shake all the doors, not the car doors, but of the Kingdom Hall. And he said, we just don't have enough brothers. He said, a brother's given a card, a brother's, if he's reading the Watchtower, he said, so we got to use you. And I just like, man, thinking desperate, being that I'm a female, like, I go to the meetings because I want to be able to talk to my family. And I've explained that before. But, someone who, maybe go to 2 meetings a month, maybe go out in service and just turn around and come back home here and there just to stay on the books. But I just wanted, to your point, they're getting real desperate, Rick, and that's all I want to mention now. Thank you, sir.
Well, Justin, I'm glad you talked about it. Go ahead, Chewy.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that brother. Is this the brother that was in Bethel for a while up in New York and Brooklyn?
That's correct. That is me. Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
And you used to cut hair, right?
That's right. I was a barber at Bethel.
Okay, now let me ask you this. What years were you there if you want to go there?
I was there from 93 to 98.
You might have cut my hair 1 or 2 times. What? I don't know what that was. But anyway, yeah, I was there for I was there from 90 to 94.
Oh, okay. What department?
Yeah, I was in construction, and I used to get my haircuts done at the 25 building.
Okay, but then you probably got cut by Aurelius Ransom then, or
That's it. And he went to J.R. Brown's Kingdom Hall.
That's right, with Lafayette congregation. Yep.
And his my first roommate went to his congregation.
Oh, okay. Well, was your roommate named Mike Brown?
No. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I recognize the last time you're on here. I said, time he gets on here, I want to ask him when he was there. It sounds like we might have crossed paths or something.
Yeah. From 93 to 98. Yeah.
Yeah, I left right at the end of 93.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, good talking to you. I don't want to off the show. I'll let you go.
Well, thank you, Chewy, and thank you, Justin, as well. Yeah, so in other words, the conventions, people writing into me at the 6 Greens, and the conventions are very depressing. No energy. That's what's going on. I can honestly say, I mean, I wasn't totally impressed with the conventions, even when I was a witness, but they had a lot more going for them than they do today. But today now there's no songbooks. It's kind of like spiritual karaoke. Now you're singing along with a screen. So you don't see people thumbing through their songbooks. There's no songbooks to use, no Bible. They're all on iPads or iPhones or apps or laptops or something. So you don't even see Bibles being opened up and thumbed through. I'm getting reports in. One brother wrote me today. He said, Rick, we had 4 baptized at our convention. It seems so pathetic. And he said that you could tell that Brother Lett was disappointed to announce it as the final talk. Imagine that. Brother Lett gets up and, brothers and sisters, we're so happy we're happy to meet here in this convention. We had 4 baptized. I mean, before they would talk about 100 baptized, 80 baptized, 4, that's going to be very discouraging for the governing body. Yes, many people have been writing in and they are saying to me that people are leaving. Not just one person, numerous people I get information from that are telling me that they're talking to friends, and the friends are saying, hey, we are leaving. We're giving up too. People are talking to one another they haven't talked to for many years. So that gives us hope, right? Yeah, our relatives, our friends, maybe we're going to have them talk to us soon. I think it would be wonderful that would happen. So I believe it's going to happen. And as I always say, I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses. I'm just going on information that's coming in here. So right now, many people. Well, we got people coming in that trying to, disrupt the program as normal. It's nothing unusual here at the 6 Screens. So we see it a lot. People don't like the program. I don't know who they are. I can tell you the Watchtower operatives. You're not going to believe me, but I have reason to believe it. We're bombarded all the time. If they're not Watchtower operatives, they're disgruntled Jehovah's Witnesses. So, anyways, there's people leaving left and right, and boy, it's imagine if you were still a witness and you go into these conventions and you go to the Kingdom Hall and you're seeing all these empty seats. What would you think? Would it freak you out? And then when you hear people saying, hey, I'm getting out, this organization is tanking. I don't care what they're going to tell anybody. The record speaks for itself. You can't have this many people leaving in empty seats all over the place and still tell people that you're doing great. Really. So anyways, we'll move on. So probably the biggest story this week, I'm going to throw a figure on the table and you tell me what you think. $10.69 per publisher. Well, what is that? Well, that's what the Watchtower wants each publisher in the United States to pay each month to be able to get the money they need from the congregation. Now, this is called I got the information from Atlantis. He's our insider. He gives us information here about what's going on behind the curtains. He's involved with the Watchtower. I'm glad he still is, but he's willing to speak up and talk. So anyways, he sent some information in. Just hold on one second. Coming off, if you want to talk, we'll invite you on in just a couple of seconds. But just to give you an idea, I'm going to read you the letter that was given to the elders this month. It's concerning the resolved monthly donation to the worldwide work. For the upcoming service year, the congregation will be presented with a single resolution to denote a monthly amount to the worldwide work. The branch office uses worldwide work funds to support various activities that benefit congregations. Such activities include, now this is where the Watchtower is not telling the truth. They're telling the elders what they do with the worldwide work funds. They're saying such activities include renovating and constructing kingdom halls and assembly halls, caring for incidents at theocratic facilities, including those involving natural disaster, fire, theft, or vandalism, providing technology and related services, and assisting with the travel costs of selected special full-time service and foreign service who attend international conventions. Okay, well, they left out one thing. How about supporting all of the lawsuits that have been brought against the Watchtower? Why isn't that mentioned? So they're telling why they want to have the publishers give $10.69 a month, but they're not saying, they're telling you where the money's going, but they're lying. Did you ever hear of the sins of omission? That's exactly what the Watchtower is doing here. They're not telling you really where the real bulk of the money's going. It's going into paying off lawsuits. We all know that. So, how honest is the Watchtower? So the governing body is now determined to bring up a resolution in the next meeting. If not the next meeting, it'll be one after this, but they got to do it this month. Now, the announcement is calling for the congregation to make a resolution, for the elders to make a resolution on how much they can send the organization each month. Now, just to bring you up to speed here, the congregation rank and file are not told that they have to pay $10.69 a month. The elders have to take the number of publishers they have, multiply it by $10.69. And so if you have 100, now think about this, just stop and think about this. So if you have 100 Jehovah's Witness publishers, which a lot of Kingdom Halls don't have, but if you do, just use it as an example, and $10.60 a month, that's that's $1,060. So they have to send that to the organization every month. Now, they're not going to tell the rank and file how much they have to put in, but that's the amount that they're going to say. They're going to, during the resolution, they're going to say, well, the elders, the body of elders, and the such and such a congregation want to pass a resolution. And it's brought to our attention that we are now we have a privilege. That's what they'll say. We now have a privilege to donate a certain amount of money to the Watchtower. So the brothers will take however many people in the congregation, multiply it by 1069, and that's the figure they have to send in every month to the organization. Now, if they don't have that much, and I know I've known elders that have told me that they had to dig into their own pockets to cover that amount that they kind of pledged to. So if you come up short, suppose the congregation's supposed to send $1,000 a month in, so the congregation comes up short. They only have $850. Well, that's $150 lower. So somebody's going to have to dig in their pockets because the Watchtower wants the amount you pledge. So this is unbelievable. The Watchtower has always said this, and they've been so forward to saying this that they don't pass a collection plate. They don't pass envelopes around. But now here is a mandated monthly collection. You tell me what the difference is. No collection plate or collection envelopes, but now they're making a resolution that you have to, they have to send so much money, and they're doing it in a roundabout way so that the publisher can't figure out this is just like tithing, right? The publisher isn't thinking this because they're not hearing it. All they know is they now made a resolution. They're going to send $1,000 or whatever it would be to the organization. So, but like I said before, this is done at the congregation level, not the individual publisher. But the elders are told $10.69 per publisher times the amount of publishers you have. That's what you're going to send us. So there's really no difference here than a church that asks the family heads to donate a specific amount each month. I don't see any difference. Now, they're claiming that they don't mandate collections because they don't set an amount per publisher. Well, the publisher doesn't know this, but the elders do. Yes, they do. These are lying bums. The Watchtower will lie through their teeth. So they're not telling the publisher once again that they're going to give $10.69 a month. But the elders know that's the number they're going to, that's the base number they're going to work with times the amount of publishers. So the monthly per publisher amount shows how little publishers are donating. I mean, that's not a lot of money per month, right? So that shows that it's not really a lot because, I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses, for the most part, they're not wealthy people. So this is showing me that the $10.69, that's chump change today. Maybe 40 years ago was a lot of money, but what is $10 today? $10 will not even buy a McDonald's meal, for goodness sakes. So this is showing you that the Watchtower doesn't have much faith in the Jehovah's Witnesses being wealthy. The Watchtower would raise that amount if they could. Why? I mean, why not 20? But they know that the witnesses can't afford 20. They can't squeeze any more out of them. See, so maybe if the witnesses were like the Mormons and they allowed for education, they allowed for people to at least go to university and get somewhat knowledgeable, they could get a good job and make some money. But see, now the Watchtower policies and the Watchtower teachings are now coming home and biting the Watchtower in the rear end. Let's go with that, because that's what's happening. How do you get money out of a rock? But the Watchtower is squeezing. Many friends, I have to tell you, many rural Jehovah's Witness congregations, Kingdom Halls, are having a hard enough trouble paying the bills, the utilities, the cleaning supplies, etc. Then they're not going to be able to send an additional $1,000 to the branch every month. What a scam. Then they're not going to be able to do it. The congregation can't say no, or else that body of elders will be removed and replaced. You remember what it was like when, okay, everyone, let's make a resolution. Raise your hand if you're in favor. Well, who wouldn't be in favor? You would be chastised. You'll be looked at as being a weak witness. But if those witnesses in a particular congregation, if those elders cannot get a resolution passed, they will be removed and they will be replaced.
In some places they wouldn't have enough elders to replace them. Would they close the congregation?
Well, Patsy, that's a darn good thought you have, because we just had a man on earlier saying that he hasn't even been attending the meetings regularly. He doesn't even qualify to pass the microphone, but they said, look, we need you. That's what it is. So he's now doing it. So they're having trouble, Pixie. They're having trouble. So
Russell said when they ask for money, the Holy Spirit's not there.
yeah, but see, they're doing it in a roundabout way. They're not going to read this letter into the congregation that they have to bring, that each publisher has to pay $10.60 a month. So they're going to do it. They have to pay a certain amount. But the elders know what the amount is, but they're not going to share it with the congregation. But $10.60 a month, it doesn't seem like a lot of money. Really, it doesn't. Like I say, for crying out loud, I was in the store the other day and a bag of chips was $5. I couldn't believe it. I mean, price. So $10 isn't a lot of money. So the Watchtower doesn't have much faith in how much money the witnesses have. I would think it would at least be $20 a publisher, but I'm glad I'm not on the governing body. I'd probably send people to the poorhouse. But I'm just thinking.
I'm glad I left. I'm saving up for some McKellans. We'll have a week draft.
Yeah, well, I got the McKellans here. Wait for Tony.
I know, that's a beautiful thing you got. Have a good night.
Thank you. So there you have it. That's big secret. But the Watchtower.
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Rick. It's Tim calling from Australia. Just quickly, a thought on the contributions and them asking for money. Part of it is I believe, it's part of the whole witness persona is generally being seen for what you do in front of people, like they like other people to see them do this or that. And back in the day, it was like that, even though they pretended to chuck the money in on the slide into the contribution boxes, I kind of get the feeling that a lot of them like to be seen. But the cashless society that's coming in is working against the witnesses, because a lot of people, cash transactions are a small percentage of what people use now, so they can't rely. People just don't carry the cash anymore to put it in the box, and those people that want it to be seen, they're not going to think about donating online when no one's looking. So they're losing out that way. That's just my thought on that.
Well, that's a good thought. That's a good thought. I really appreciate you bringing that up tonight, because I'll tell you what, The Watchtower right now is grasping for straws. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, we know that, you know, when the Watchtower has been getting away with murder, that they get free labor, they get ceaseless donations, but they're still pushing the witnesses to give more and more. They don't have to balance their budget like many witnesses and even normal people have to simplify their lives. But it appears that the Watchtower is not simplifying at all, and they should be doing that. But the Watchtower is just trying to grab everything they possibly can. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. All right, well, let's take a look here. I'm just going to give you some numbers. I'm going to run some numbers by you. I hear that people in the video suite, it says the sound is terrible. Friends, I just want to mention on the 6 Screens video suite, we do have trouble with that sound in there. And, you know, if you really want to listen to the program, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, and the program is nice and clear, nice and loud. Try that out. Try YouTube out, because eventually we're getting a new suite anyways. So the suite in time, I'm not going to tell you when, but the suite will be disappearing soon. We have other ways you can listen in to the 6 Screens. So the 6 Screens video suite has always been an issue. It's always been a problem with sound. So we are changing that. I can't tell you when, but it is coming in the future. All right, let's take a look. Let's run some numbers here. I'm doing the math right as we speak. So now let's see, in the United States, right according to their website here, jw.org, there are 1,238,431 active publishers. 1,238,431 active publishers. So let me just run some numbers here so we get an idea of how much the Watchtower is making on $10.69 per publisher. So if you take that 1,238,431 and you multiply it by $10.69, the Watchtower is going to bring in 13 million from what I got here. Let's see, $13,251,211 a month. Well, how would you like to have $13,251,211 a month rolling in? And that's just from donations from the Kingdom Halls in America. 13 million plus. I mean, when you run numbers, when you have so many Kingdom Halls, so many publishers, you know, a little bit multiplied by a whole lot is a lot. That's disgusting to me. That's very, very disgusting. But nonetheless, that's what the Watchtower is doing, and they get away with it. They get away with it. We need more money. Grab it from the publishers. It's unbelievable. So anyways, let's see what else we got going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Does anyone want to speak up? If you want to speak up, now's the time to do it. Come on, say hello to us. It's *6 on your telephone pad. Come on and say hello to us. Let us know what's on your mind. All right. Yes, go ahead. We got 312 area code. Go ahead, you're on with us. 312, want to speak up? All right. 312, you want to speak up? Chicago, Illinois, you're on with us. Go ahead. Okay, we got 831. We got California. Go ahead, 831. We have a sound issues here tonight. 831, go ahead, speak up.
Mr. Fearon, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. That's 302. Are you 312 area code?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead. You're on with us.
Hi, first of all, this is Stephen. So good evening. I just had a quick thought. It was something that when you started off the program and you were talking about how different things have been, I remember conventions where there was every year that was going past, it was less and less people that were getting baptized. And how I began to feel about it, it made me feel like I was a part of a losing organization. And so I'm imagining that this is how people are feeling. Nobody wants to be a part of a losing organization. Everybody likes a winner. Everybody wants to be a winner. Everybody wants to be around a winner. So I can't imagine the psychological impact of sitting at an assembly and you're seeing less and less people, or even zero people getting baptized. That must really weigh on people's mind and make them wonder what really is going on. And then the second thing was something you took me back when you were talking about some of the activities with the witnesses back in the old days. And I was comparing the picnics. When I was a little kid, we had big picnics, normally at public park, the entire congregation would come. And then all of a sudden there were no picnics. And the last couple picnics I went to before I stopped attending all meetings, there were a few friends there, but there was really nothing fun about it. It just felt like an extension of the meeting where everybody is watching you and, oh, you better not play this song or play that song or dance a certain way. And it had no joy. And I said to an elder, I said, you know, the problem with this organization is that you guys have nothing for young people. And I said, and when you lose your young people, it's just a matter of time because everybody's going to die. You're not getting young people, even the ones that you have that are born in, they're leaving. And I said, and part of the reason is because this is so boring. I mean, you stop the picnic to play Bible games. Oh, you know, who was Elkanah? It's like nobody wants to do that. Can't we find something fun? And he said, no, this is how it is. This is how Jehovah wants it, and this, that, and the other thing. So you really took me back when you brought that up, and I started thinking about those picnics and the dwindling numbers of baptismal candidates.
Well, very good. I'm glad it brought back memories and some good memories too.
Yeah.
But it's not that they don't do that anymore. They don't do get-togethers and what have you like we used to do.
Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
Oh, there you go. Good. Now we got 831. That looks like California. I believe that's Anne Marie. Go ahead, Anne Marie. You're on with us. Wow, maybe it is an Anne Marie. Let's move on to. Well, let's move on.
No,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The stupid me muted. I was just looking at some notes from my church from a while back, and it said, I took a note that said, as a Christian, one of the most important things for Christians to do is to fight for the truth. And I didn't get the scripture, but it was being very heavily emphasized. Fight for the truth. And we know when it comes to Watchtower, especially, they don't
Order out. Thank you for reminding me how fucked up a person you are. So you're right.
Go ahead. Sorry, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, fighting for the truth is so important. And I just want to thank you for standing up every week, my brother, and doing it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. Always good to hear from you calling in. We do have 207. 207, go ahead. You're on with us. 207, you're on with us. Don't be bashful. Well,
207, this is Darren. Hey, are you there?
Darren, yeah. In fact, you hold on 1 second. We're going to bring you on probably hold on for about 15, 20 minutes. Can you do that?
I certainly can.
Yeah, we got a late start here, so just hang in. But we're going to bring you in shortly.
Right.
So give us about 20 minutes. We'll bring you on. Okay. Thank you, Darren. Thank you very much. Okay, so anyways, we're so glad that we do have a lot of people coming in here tonight. So if you'd like to say anything, I'm going to put the telephone number up here right now. Let me put the telephone number up. If you're listening out to our program and you'd like to call into the 6 screens, well, I'm going to give you the telephone number. I'll put it on the screen for YouTube so you'll be able to see it. And if you want to call into the program, by all means, be our guest. Because what happens, you're the ones that make the program. When you guys call in, you're the ones that make the program. So anyways, let's go on. I'm going to go on here and read a few other things here. Well, I got a letter from Atlantis, this man I tell you that sends us information, and how good it is that he does that, because we get a lot of information about what's going on in the Watchtower. We gave the information on the letters for August, and of course that had to do with the donation per publish of $10.69, but there's other things too that were brought to my attention, and I wanted to bring this up here. It's concerning pregnant sisters. The Watchtower organization is very concerned about women that are pregnant in the Watchtower. They know there could be blood issues. So what they're doing is they're giving these expectant mothers advice giving them information on what happens when you're pregnant. I mean, do you want to rely on the Watchtower for medical information? But that's what's going on at this point. So they're giving pregnant women information on what pregnancy is about and what happens during pregnancy, and doctors that perhaps you'd like to see. So this is something that I wouldn't trust. If I was an expectant mother, I wouldn't trust a Watchtower. I wouldn't let them be involved. But anyways, there's a document entitled Information for Patients Requiring Surgery or Chemotherapy. And it's right here, the letters that are given to the elders from the Watchtower and how they're to deal with these people and connect them with the liaison committee to make sure they don't take a blood transfusion, to make sure the baby will die. I mean, in essence, that's what they're doing. So, but I found that fascinating and even disturbing that the Watchtower would actually, poke into an expectant woman's life and more or less dictate to her who a doctor should be, what she can take for fractions, what she can't take. Geez, pregnant women have enough stress on them as it is without the Watchtower chasing them around. So I got more on that, but we won't go too deep into it because we got other things to cover. But I just wanted to also bring up the fact that they have the special campaign. They're already talking about the memorial. They're already trying to get speakers and get the memorial and what they're going to be doing for the memorial all lined up. And I have to tell you that the Watchtower, they must really be having trouble. So some of the things I read on here are showing me they're having trouble. For example, during memorial season, they're asking people to become auxiliary pioneers. Now, when I was a witness back in 2005, to be an auxiliary pioneer, you had to get 50 hours a month in service to qualify as an auxiliary pioneer. But now what they've done for, the campaign season for the memorial, right in that time of the memorial, they're now allowing you can become an auxiliary pioneer for 15 hours or 30 hours, but they'll let you do it for 15. So, I mean, they must really be desperate trying to get pioneers, right? So you can be an auxiliary pioneer for 15 hours or 30 hours. You can kind of choose what you want. But then they're also encouraging the elders to take a special zealous lead in this special campaign. Jeez, I'll tell you, how much can even elders take? They have a lot of workload already. Most of them have to work for a living. And then at the same time, they pile more and more on them. Now they want them to auxiliary pioneer during memorial time. Unbelievable, isn't it? So, but stop and think about it. At one time, they really lowered the hours. It's really significant here what I'm saying. Why would the Watchtower lower the hours? Because they can't get people to do it. It's a pretty simple understanding, isn't it? They can't get people to even get the hours in for an auxiliary pioneer. So let's cut the hours. But what does this do for the organization? Well, it makes the organization look good, doesn't it? It pumps up their, oh, look at this. We got all these auxiliary pioneers this month. Jehovah's blessing the organization. So they come up with all kinds of schemes to make things look so wonderful for them. Unbelievable. Well, I came across something too that I thought you'd be very fascinated to see. I couldn't believe this when I came across it. Do you ever use Airbnb? For rather than a motel, you get a room through Airbnb, and that is, people rent their houses out, their apartments out, and you can rent a room from them. Well, the witnesses are now taking advantage of this. Airbnbs are now available in Warwick. So if you want to visit Warwick, you can get on the Airbnb's website, and you can, if you don't know what Airbnb is, these are people that rent their houses out, their apartments or their cabins or whatever they live in. They rent it out to people for a day, a night, a week, a month, and you don't have to stay in a hotel. You can stay in an Airbnb. So witnesses are taking advantage of this. They're buying property. You might not have heard this, but I found this absolutely nuts. So, I mean, the Watchtower for many years has always made a profit on witnesses visiting Bethel. You know, they have hotels where people stay and they put them up and they make money on that. But now a lot of the witnesses themselves, and I wouldn't even doubt if Watchtower is doing this, buying up all the property they can and renting these houses out on Airbnb. And so anyways, I do have a clip here that I want to play to you that I think you'll find very, very interesting. And what this is, an Airbnb that is up in Warwick. And I want you to see it because you're going to really find it fascinating. This is a great, in fact, I'm reading the little clip that the fella has on trying to rent this house out that he has in Warwick for people visiting Bethel. Yeah, you can just book into this guy's house. I don't know what he charges, but I think it's about $200 a night. Not sure, but that's what it appears to be. He says, have a great time visiting New York, Bethel. I was so happy they went to the witnesstrips.com, witnesstrips.com. Jeez, I'll tell you, it's what a different world we're living in. You could have never pulled this off as a witness. That's why I'm even wondering if this might even be a secret Jehovah's Witness corporation of some type. But it's saying here, so happy that I went to witnesstrips.com to rent a B&B, an Airbnb. I was able to relax and feel at home with all the amenities such as a living room, a game room, fire pits, volleyball court, kitchen, and a pool. When traveling with a large group, Witness Trips can make your visit to Bethel a wonderful experience. Find recommended activities, hotels, restaurants, and more with witnesstrips.com. Jeez, I mean, unbelievable. Well, let me put this up. I want you to see the ad. I want you to see this ad that was put up for witnesstrips.com. Would you book with witnesstrips.com? I mean, really, geez, I tell you, I don't know. These guys, they're trying to make money. I'm sure the Witnesses organization as well. I'm sure they're involved in this somehow, some way. But let me see if I can't get this up. I want you to see this. I want to share this with you. So I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to see it. This is off of Instagram, but let's do it right now. This is witnesstrips.com. If you're going to visit Bethel, go ahead and visit witnesstrips.com. Let's hear what he has to say. All right, let's play it. Let me make sure my speakers are on, which they are. All right.
Beautiful bedrooms that can sleep up to 14 people. There's also a game room with a pool table and a ski hockey table, and an amazing pool to enjoy in the hot summer days. Can't forget the fire pit. I hope to be back at Casablanca, and I hope you enjoy your visit when you visit Wallkill Bethel. You can now reserve this house at witnesstrips.com.
Well, let me go back and play it from the beginning. We didn't get it from the beginning, but I want you to see it. Because this, you know, I don't want to use the word sickening. I don't want to use the word taking advantage of people. I don't want to use the word that someone's being ripped off here. But well, what's going on in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses? Why would they even allow this? I mean, they wouldn't. I could not even, when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I couldn't even bring up business. I was a businessman. And I couldn't, and I had a bunch of the witnesses working for me that were going to my Kingdom Hall. And I couldn't even mention business. They would come up to me and tap me on the shoulder. Oh, Brother Fearon, don't talk about business here. But now that, geez, they're allowing people to go on Instagram and the social media and, you know, rent their houses up in Warwick. Nothing's being said. I'm thinking a lot of this stuff is being done by the Watchtower, but nothing's being said. It's a money-grubbing organization. People in the organization are taking advantage of other witnesses. Now, this guy, you're going to see him. I'm going to play it again so you can see the beginning. This guy, get some information coming into the Watchtower today, that this guy who runs this trip for Jehovah's Witnesses to Bethel site, he's a pretty well-off brother. He's a young guy. He's got a brand new, it looks like a brand new Tesla. Teslas aren't cheap. You know, they go from 50, 60 grand up. So he's got a nice Tesla. So is he taking advantage of the witnesses? I mean, the organization is, so I guess, why don't the witnesses take advantage too? So let's play the video. I want you to see it again. Let's play it right now. Well, why didn't I play the full thing? Let's see if we get it again.
I enjoyed my visit to Wallkill Bethel. After my tour, I was exhausted. So I was so happy that I went to witnesstrips.com to rent a beautiful house called Casa Blanca, which comes equipped with a beautiful kitchen and also a nice living room to enjoy entertainment and beautiful bedrooms that can sleep up to 14 people. There's also a game room with a pool table and a ski hockey table and an amazing pool to enjoy in the hot summer days. Can't forget the fire pit. I hope to be back at Casa Blanca, and I hope you enjoy your visit when you visit Wallkill Bethel. You can now reserve this house at witnesstrips.com.
Oh, here you go, witnesstrips.com. Can you believe it? Can you really believe the things that are going on behind the curtain of the Watchtower? Unbelievable. Okay. Well, we have a guest coming on here very shortly. We're going to bring him on. Just a couple of things. Anne-Marie, do you want to say something?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but if I may say so, Rick, in the advertisement to the witnesses, and they were describing the amenities, you know, it's kind of sad to not hear anything about enjoy Christian fellowship with your brothers and sisters. There will be a Bible study if you feel like attending to discuss scriptural matters. It's all about worldly amenities that would be described by any business that would want to lure in customers who are about to make them a lot of money. Thank you, Rick.
Well, Anne-Marie, I thank you for taking note of that. I was even thinking it's a little, I mean, when he said, you know, this bedroom's there for 14 people, what the heck? I mean, would the Watchtower agree to having, you know, like a party there? It's a pool hall, a fire pit. People are going to be drinking. There could be immorality taking place. Years ago, the Watchtower would never let anybody get away with this. This is entirely different. This is a different organization. Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you very much. One other topic I want to bring up, and then we'll move on. We got a guest coming on. His name is Darren out of Vermont. He wants to tell us his story. He's been stalked by an elder. He wants to tell us about that, so he'll be coming on here very, very shortly. But I wanted to give one more story here, and it's concerning warnings to Jehovah's Witnesses concerning apostates that might come into the convention. Now, I found this story very fascinating. It was a news story out of Pennsylvania, out of Reading, Pennsylvania. I want to play that. I want to play it to you so that you can get the gist of what's being done here. Let me just go back to the beginning here, and we'll be able to get this played for you. Hold on one second, because I found this of extreme interest, because I have a lot of witnesses that live in Reading, Pennsylvania. So this particular story has to deal with, there are emails. Just listen to what the person says from Fox News Channel here, and you'll get the gist of what's being said. Then we can talk a tiny bit about it. Then we're going to bring Darren on. But let me just get this up so we can share it. But this is really, I don't know if this is legal or not, but the Watchtower is doing it. But listen to the news piece, and then you'll be able to think for yourself on this. But let me share the screen here. Let me see where it is. Okay, let's do this online video. Just give me a second to find the right stream. Where is the stream? Is it this one here? Okay, this one right here. Let's share the screen right now. Once you see this is Fox News out of Reading, Pennsylvania. Let's put the volume up. There's the girl. Why isn't that playing? Hold on 1 second while I can just get the, for some reason we're having a hard time with the sound. Let's unmute her and let's play it.
This year, we broke the story about a state grand jury's upcoming report on that topic. And now Fox 43's Harry Lee uncovers how the organization is responding to those allegations and the whistleblowers who helped bring the concerns to light.
This is a serious issue for whistleblowers like Martin Hawk, who I met in May. He was so devoted to Jehovah's Witnesses that even after he walked in on another member sexually molesting his 4-year-old daughter, he didn't go to police for another 11 years. Now that he's gone public with his story, Jehovah's Witnesses have labeled him an apostate and warned other members not to engage with him. Jehovah's Witnesses are holding 6,000 conventions around the world this year with the theme Exercise Patience. Ahead of a 3-week convention that began July 14th in Reading, Berks County, members providing security received an email with pictures of Martin and Jennifer Hawk.
I learned that I was on a list, a watch list, by all the attendants or the security brothers who handle security at that convention, not to be allowed into any building.
The couple had spoken to Fox 43 earlier this year about their frustrations trying to get justice within Jehovah's Witnesses for their daughter's molestation in 2005. They eventually left and were disfellowshipped or shunned. The email warned that the Hawks, quote, are not one of us.
This is really something that is not shocking to me because I've watched the organization for decades and dealt with them in court.
According to Jehovah's Witnesses expert Rick Allen Ross, the email shows that the organization is responding defensively to whistleblowers and critical media coverage on their handling of child sex abuse.
They basically go after these whistleblowers and can disfellowship them, shun them, and punish them for speaking out. Jehovah's Witnesses should be listening to them and in an effort to try and correct what's wrong and to deal with the situation of child sexual abuse within the organization.
The email also claims the Hawks have tried to get into past conventions by, quote, mingling with the crowd upon entry, dressing and acting as if one of us. Martin Hawk says he did attend one protest outside the 2018 Reading convention, but has never tried to enter under false pretenses.
We got permission before we even went. The police knew we were coming. The city of Reading knew we were coming. We were respectful. We didn't engage with any Jehovah's Witnesses. We didn't try to enter the building.
He says the email shows who Jehovah's Witnesses are choosing to target.
It really hurt me, because again, it's their convention. They can determine who can come and who cannot. But on the other hand, when I was an elder, I was not allowed to inform the members of the congregation that there was a known child abuser in the congregation.
Jehovah's Witnesses responded to our questions about the email with this statement. Our congregants expect and value a peaceful learning environment at our conventions. To ensure the well-being of all who attend, we may at times revoke a person's privilege to attend our Bible education programs when we believe their goal is to disrupt our peaceful gatherings. The grand jury investigation is moving forward. This week, one of the 14 Jehovah's Witnesses that the Pennsylvania Attorney General charged for child sex abuse became the first to plead guilty. We, of course, will continue following this story and bring you updates on air and on fox43.com. Harry Lee, Fox 43 News.
Well, there you go. I mean, what do you think of that? Now, I have to tell you, I mean, the Watchtower is in big time trouble. Geez, that's all you see in the news. Sex offenders. Now here they are. Now let me just bring you up to speed on what was going on here. This Martin Hawk, he demonstrated back in 2018 in Reading, Pennsylvania, in front of the Sandantier Arena, and he did not go in there. But they were concerned about the protesters, just like they were concerned about the protesting that we did a month ago here in Lowell, Massachusetts. So they sent emails out to the witnesses where known protesters would be. And I'm sure it happened here as well in Lowell, Massachusetts. So they sent emails out of pictures of people who may be protesting outside the convention and to be watching for them if they do get in and to report them. So, but what was disturbing here that the news didn't cover, information that I uncovered here at the 6 screens even goes a little bit deeper. that they were suggesting in the emails that some of these protesters are indeed mentally disturbed. Now that sounds like they're crossing a line when they say that, to tell people, show pictures of protesters, sending the witnesses who were going to the convention emails. I know that happened at the convention that we went to recently. They knew that the Six Screens was headquartered the next town over. They had security guards all over the place. They had 6 of them in front of the building. We sent a man in undercover. They questioned him. The police actually questioned him when he was leaving the building. They had a security guard on a motorbike driving around looking at us. They were on high alert. So where protesters are known to be, the witnesses have been given notice to keep an eye open for such ones if they enter the building. So that's an amazing thing. But I have to tell you, that's what the Watchtower is pulling off. And whether it's legal or not, I don't know. But they're willing to try anything at all. They want to suppress the apostates. They don't want the word of the apostate to get out. They're scared to death. These conventions, they're watching the doors. They're doing everything they can to keep people who are not with them out. Any apostates or anyone that looks suspicious, they're going to stop them from coming in. That man we tried to send in, I had him dress up like a Jehovah's Witness. Of course, he did not have a badge, but they questioned him inside out and backwards. Well, why are you here? Well, he said, well, I was invited. The Watchtower invited me. So he went in. And on the way out, a cop followed him and wanted to know if he was with the protesters outside. That would have been us. So, I mean, it's a little bit, friends, I'm telling you, there's more going on than you think. You're saying, well, does a Watchtower go to these measures? Of course they do. Well, anyways, we're going to switch gears here. We're going to switch gears. We do have a man coming in. His name is Darren, and Darren lives in Vermont. And Darren got a hold of me this week. And Darren has got a very interesting story to tell here tonight. Darren is being stalked by one of Jehovah's Witness elders, and he wanted to share with me. Yeah, he got a hold of me. So Darren, I see that you're on with us.
Yes.
Yes.
He's not an elder. That's the frustrating part. He's just a regular run of the mill. But so here's what happened. Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead and go nice and slow with the story. Try to give people as much information as they need, because we're going to try to get you. We're going to try to get you some help here tonight, Darren. Okay?
That would be fantastic. So in 2008, a young member of our congregation, a 15-year-old girl, accused me of sexual improprieties and immorality and all that. But she didn't accuse me of raping her. She accused me of raping my daughters and beating them with baseball bats on a nightly basis. Now, I didn't get off on some bullshit technicality of, the 2-witness rule. My daughters, at 16 years of age, cleared my name. Now, secular authorities would have gotten on top of this within 24 hours. The elders dragged it out for over 2 months. One other report came to them that my daughters were contemplating suicide. Never once did they pull my daughters aside and ask if this was true. Then they got the report that I had this young 15-year-old in the corner of the Kingdom Hall bellowing at her. You've never heard me raise my voice, but I can tell you, if I raise my voice, everybody's come running. That's not going to go unnoticed. So, and I told the elders at the time, I'm really getting sick of this. This is. So I waited 2 months, and then I finally got a hold of her. I said, listen, if this was true, I'd take myself down in the woods with my shotgun. You'd have your answer. But this isn't true, and it's killing me. You have to get on this. So he, okay. And wow, now they have time to meet, but they just didn't have time before. So they dragged it out for 2 months. They asked me not to bring my daughter or sit in on the meeting, but I brought him to the Kingdom Hall for the meeting, and we told you not to be here. I said, you can talk to him all you want. By yourselves, I wanted to be in there. But when they're done, I have a few things to say. So after they cleared my name, I went in and I said, listen, you had to back the pony. I know that. You backed the wrong pony. And I will never, ever be the same. So, as you can imagine, I wasn't quite digging it at that point. So my witness career was going down in flames. I lasted about another 3 years. And I left in 2012. Well, I moved to Vermont in 2020. I moved 2 states away. All of a sudden, in 2020, I get this text on my phone. And I saved them all because I was so floored by them. Let me pull those up. Those are, they're just, I'm floored. But he starts right in with, in 2020. He's like, you molested your kids. You molested 2 other kids. This is one beautiful pedophile. He got my address, a little scumbag, and on and on and on. So that was 2020. 2021. You aren't worth my time. I wouldn't be a fight. You wouldn't stand a chance. I won't hurt you. I'm going to talk to your brother Dan again in Arizona. I'm going to call Stephanie, my daughter. I'm going to I'm going to put posters up in your neighborhood. I'm going to write letters to your family, employer, etc. How does it feel? Because I'm bigger, faster, stronger, more educated, more successful. I mean, on and on and on. That was 2020. 2021, more of the same. 2022, more of the same. Now, all of a sudden, I get a brand new phone call or another text from a new phone number, and lo and behold, it has the same information and the same. And so he's going, we receive communication from the platform all the time about gossip and the harmful effects of it. Well, this is going a little beyond that. Number one, I was cleared. There's no wrongdoing. This guy had nothing to do with my family, with the body of elders, with the judicial committee, with the decisions, with the nothing. Now he's coming at me 4 years in a row, and I need to know what I can do. Now I can stop. I can do a failure to stop, but I need to know. I mean, yeah, I could reach out to the guy. He's got nothing, and I end up with everything of nothing. But if I can somehow tie his actions to, because according to their own propaganda, when you are baptized, you are an ordained minister. Does that make you, at that point, a liability to the church? Because everything coming out of your mouth should follow the party line. And clearly it's not. And for him to bring this up, as I told the elders, I will never be the same. And I have never been the same. And for him to bring this up and throw it at my feet, when none of it was real or accurate or correct, not even a shred of it. Not a shred of it. So, I'm with that. I don't know what to do with this guy. I don't know what congregation is in. I know where he's getting all the information. My ex-wife is an absolute rock star because she has not only an unbelieving mate, but a fellowship mate. So she's going through the rest of this all the way to Armageddon on her own. So therefore, an elevated position, what a faithful, beautiful sister she is. More power to her. I can't take it away from her. If I did that, she'd have nothing. But I don't deserve this. Nobody deserves it. And I'm just kind of with that with it.
Well, you would be, Darren. Now, let me just step in here. so the audience can get a little idea of what's happening. Dad Darren was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. He is not a Jehovah's Witness for 40 years. He's not a Jehovah's Witness now. So what took place here is really disturbing to Darren. There was a man who was a Jehovah's Witness, still a Jehovah's Witness, that is accusing Darren of molesting his 2 daughters, which he never did. And this man constantly is harassing him, sending him emails, telephone calls, and now also blabbing to other people in Darren's circle, so to speak, that Darren is this bad person. So Darren got a hold of me this week, and Darren is trying to see if it's possible to sue the Watchtower. Now, the Watchtower being sued is very difficult. They have a whole battery of lawyers, like I told him. The man that is accusing Darren of doing all of these bad deeds doesn't have anything. If he sued the man, there's nothing there to get. But Darren is thinking that where the man is an ordained minister, where he is tied in or connected to the Watchtower, but maybe there could be some connection with the Watchtower in this guy to put the Watchtower on the hook for a suit. So he wants to get your thoughts on it. So I would love to hear from anybody in our audience. Well, what do you think? Does Darren have an opportunity here to sue the Watchtower, or would it go nowhere? You don't have to be a lawyer. Maybe you've had similar things happen to you, but why don't you chime in with us and kind of give Darren an idea what to do? Should he sue the Watchtower? Should he go after the big guy, so to speak? Or should he just kind of sue the guy at the bottom, get some type of restraining order? What would you suggest for Darren? So why don't you call in, hit *6 on your telephone pad. Let's see if we give Darren some thoughts. Have you ever experienced this? What would you do? Is the Watchtower on the hook for this guy harassing Darren? Because the guy that's doing the harassing is a Jehovah's Witness minister. Would it be possible to sue the Watchtower because of that? I'd like to get your thoughts, if you have any legal ones out there, or people who just would like to speak up and talk. Go ahead. Why don't you hit *6? Just give us your thoughts.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Fearon.
Yes, go ahead, Ken from Michigan. What do you want to say?
Oh, well, first of all, Darren, I want to say my heart goes out to you. I'm sorry to hear of the circumstances and all that. And yes, I definitely would explore legal action against the Watchtower and all that. Restraining orders and all that right across the board, maybe even a civil lawsuit if they're bringing these malicious, phony charges against you and so forth. Because, yeah, what we've been hearing all night here, and every time we turn on the 6 screens here, we hear about the Watchtower just getting downright and dirty and everything like that. Some of the circumstances that they're accusing you of actually exist in the Watchtower, and then they turn around, they cover it up just because the people are on their side, or they're in good standing with the Watchtower. Like, that's why in Pennsylvania here we've got a bunch of people up on charges right now, and I'm kind of glad to hear that they're finally bringing these people to justice and so forth. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear what happened to you, and yeah, I would definitely explore legal action against them. Shop around, go talk to different attorneys or whatever it is, and see if we can put a stop to it.
And what I'm coming up with is there is no way to tie this guy to the church. The Watchtower will just look at it, because we don't know him. And that's what I'm facing. And no attorney wants to go into court with a case they're going to get kicked in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't know all the circumstances, and I would explore that and all that. But yeah, there's there has to be some way to stop this guy and whatever can be done, you know.
Darren, yeah, we got a bunch of people. Thank you, Ken, too, for calling in. We got a bunch of people calling in here on our well, not calling in, but texting in on our YouTube clip. Let's read some of the comments here. He can take the Watchtower to court because he was an active witness at the time of the slander. Is that true? Were you a witness at the time this guy was harassing you, Darren?
No, I had already left the organization in 2012, and these didn't start in 2020.
Okay, all right. So we'll drop that one. Okay, let's of course people writing in defamation, pain, suffering, all of that you've experienced. Let's listen. We got a caller coming in from the UK. Maybe Steve knows something about it. Steve, what do you want to say to Darren?
Hi, Darren. Well, yeah, I'm from the UK. I mean, I'm not familiar with the US law, and I know I'm going to be stating the obvious here, but I'm thinking that first of all, obviously, you need to find out who this guy is, and if he is associated with the Watchtower. And I'm thinking probably the only way you could probably do that is get in touch with the police or perhaps a private investigator. Maybe they can track the guy down and find out who he is. Because once you find out who he is, then you'll know you'll be able to find out Watchtower. If it's part of sorry, go on.
I have his name. I have his address. He sent me his address 4 times in order for me to meet so that he can make my answer something. I don't know.
Okay, so is he a witness?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what congregation he's in?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Watchtower, if you contact the Watchtower, they're going to say, well, you know, there's nothing to do with us. But you need to involve the Watchtower so that you can, so you've got some kind of, you can get to them. The only way you can involve the Watchtower, as far as I can see, is contact them and complain to them in writing. Send them a letter, send it recorded or whatever is equivalent to recorded in the US, so that you know they've received it. Do it 3, 4, 5, or 6 times. You know, if they ignore it, that's even better because you've got a case. I would imagine. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but you know, I'm thinking if you can get the Watchtower involved by forcing their hand, the only way that I can think that you can do that is by contacting them and complaining directly to them. And then if they ignore you, then you know you've got a case that they're ignoring you. If they get in touch with you, then of course you have that in writing, I would think, and then you've got some kind of evidence of some kind to see that the Watchtower are involved. And I would imagine once the Watchtower is involved, then you've got a case against the Watchtower, because at the moment it's just some guy that calls himself a brother that's not attached to the Watchtower, and they could quite easily turn around and say, well, we didn't know anything about it. But of course they can't say that. They've been writing that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Make them aware of the situation. If they do anything, the ball's in their court. So they kind of dictate their act.
Exactly. And you're dragging them in then, whether they like it or not. Even if they don't answer, you're still dragging them in.
Right. So if there's a lawsuit later, it's, I told you this was happening.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's my thoughts anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Well, Steve, thank you for calling in from the UK. Now, this is a tough ball game here. This is a an uphill battle. I mean, I did mention that to Darren the other day. The Watchtower has plenty of money to fight all of this, so it's going to be pretty clear cut. So, what would you hope? The question would be, Darren, at this point, what are you hoping to achieve with this? What would be your motive? What do you hope to gain?
Well, the biggest thing I wanted to do is let the Watchtower know that this is happening, so that it would go from the Watchtower, his body of elders, directly to him, so that he doesn't just have, some police officer on his full browbeating him. He's got elders that he looks up to and respects and are calling him to the carpet for some rather scandalous accusations and threats and, just put him on notice that this is not acceptable, son. And the best way to do that to the Watchtower is hurt them financially. And to let them know that, hey, you warned us against gossip from the Kingdom Hall platform for years. Here's the result.
So, Darren, sorry to butt in again, but you just saying what you just said, and what I was saying before about getting the Watchtower involved, you could get them involved inadvertently as well by writing at the same time to the congregation that he's in. So, of course, the body of elders are going to take it straight to the legal department, and so they will be involved. So you'll be doubling down on getting their involvement somehow.
Yes, I'm also doing a refusal to stop that they will, police officers on his doorstep will present that to him. And he's too dumb to help him. He'll contact me again.
Yeah. So good luck anyway.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, Darren, I mean, we don't know what it is. It's a problem for you, I know, and you would like to get it resolved. As far as the Watchtower ever being able to give you punitive damage, it's a long shot, believe me, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's totally out of the realm of understanding. But I would say that it'd be very difficult to get a lawyer to go on what you have. Have you thought about pursuing this if you want to call it a crime, you want to call it an offense against you? Do you feel like you'd want to go forward on your own without a lawyer?
Not sure. I think I will write that several times, and I can probably send a letter to the body of the congregation.
It would be a starting point, because I hate to tell you, but when you have an organization like this that is so dishonest and untruthful, you could spend a lot of money and not go anywhere. They would put it on hold, they would postpone it, they would keep moving it forward. I had a friend that came on the Six Screens 18 years ago, and his daughter actually died from refusing a blood transfusion, for the most part, in the Watchtower. And so he took the Watchtower to court, and he made pretty good money in life, but the man landed up bankrupt. It was terrible. Yeah. He spent all of his money trying to sue the Watchtower, and they prevailed and they won. And he just landed up broke. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think I'm at a point where I'm going to write some letters and do it, some police harassment reports, put the ball in his court, see where he wants to take it.
Well, that's the area I pursue first. First of all, in other words, I'd want to, if it's financial gain, I mean, at this point, do you feel this man has cost you money or income of any kind?
No, not at all.
All right.
Plenty of pain.
All right.
Plenty of pain.
But I mean, in other words, if this man has caused you, financial loss, if you're like a businessman and he slandered you and calling you a pedophile and all of this, that could hurt your business. So that can't come into play. But I mean, basically, what you want to do is get this guy off your neck. And have you threatened to sue him? Did you tell him that?
No, I'd rather surprise him with it.
All right, well, that's what to do. I mean, you could go down. I mean, I'll tell you.
I was thinking if I just named the congregation there.
Yeah, well, there's things you could do. In other words, I've often brought this up too on the Six Screens. Sometimes to really pursue litigation in a regular district court can be very expensive. But you could actually, I mean, if you want to really scare this man and show that you do have some, some teeth into this, you could file a small claims action. You could say that, this man has harmed me. Not that you have a business, but he's harmed you in the sake that you could have pursued making more money, another career. So he's harmed you monetarily. And you could file a small claims suit for like $28. And I mean, he would be served papers. And they would actually come to his door, knock on his door, serve him papers. And sometimes that gets people's attention. And you just write yeah.
$200,000 sounds right. Here's why. Because he doesn't have it. I want him to, I want him to freak out and say, oh my God, all of this stuff that I've done is finally coming back to haunt me. And if I list the congregation there, not even involved the society, just list the congregation there. And that way, what is this? And that way they'll know also. Because if a police officer serves him and they're standing on his doorstep, nobody needs to know that. A buddy of mine went through the DEEP program, and that's when you get an OUI. And the therapist said there, oh, you don't know how many of your elders come through this program. And they're right, we don't know how many, because they keep that all our time. So if this guy gets served with a $28 lawsuit, he's not going to worry about that. Nobody's going to know.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not 28,000. No, not. In other words, it costs you $28 to file it. You go to you go to your district. You go to your district court, and what you do is you file a small claims court. You can get up to 10,000. I don't know what it is in Mass, but I believe it's 10,000. I mean, in Vermont, I don't know what it is, but it's 10,000 in Mass. So at least it shows it gets some teeth. I'm going after this guy. Pixie, what do you want to tell Darren? What do you want to tell? Yeah, go ahead.
He slandered him. If it was printed, it's libel, and if it's spoken, it is slander. And he can get him for slander.
What I wanted to do is find to the Watchtower and get the whole schlemiel for slander, but it's going to be possible. But you're right, he did slander me. He's called my brother. He's called my ex-wife. He's talked to my children. He's talked to a friend of mine that was a friend of mine for 40 years in the congregation. He's gathered all this information about me and thrown it at my feet. I moved 2 states away, so I didn't have to deal with this stuff. So that I could walk down the street and not worry about seeing a witness who will look at me and scowl at me and why isn't he at the meetings? I don't have to deal with that. I'm very free.
How does this accusing man have all that information, if you don't mind me asking?
Contacted my ex-wife. His wife is good friends with my wife. And my wife, having a disfellowshipped member, is a rock star in the congregation. So she spills my information all over to anybody who will listen, including this.
So the reason that I'm asking is because it sounds like this man wouldn't have any information if he wasn't part of that congregation.
Exactly. Well,
that's where part of the organization, I should say, instead. I think that's where the part that you will want to mention the congregation's name, because if he wasn't a part of the organization, he would never have access to this information to be able to define your name.
Exactly.
And also, I'm only at the very beginning of my law course at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that a lawyer would suggest the same thing. The reason that you're mentioning the congregations, the reason you're mentioning Jehovah's Witness organization at all, is because as long as this man is a member of the organization, you don't believe he will stop because he constantly has this information there, right?
Right. And gathering more.
So he would never, exactly, and he would never have the ability to harass you, to defame your name, to possibly accidentally, falsely get you put onto the sex register. I mean, you just said that you don't even want to go, you have to move, you don't want to go outside. That to me sounds like complete emotional turmoil based on false accusations. well, we have laws against this thing, and we also have laws that protect your information. And I believe that's where you would contact a lawyer and say if he wasn't part of the organization, he would never have had access to this information.
Right.
And as the organization that holds this information, as the organization holds this information, they should be a lot more bloody careful with it about who gets that information.
Yeah.
Another thought that I had also, and I thought that
if this from my end, I mean, that's a fountain of information. You know, you know, it is what it is.
The only problem I have is because you moved 2 states away.
Oh, with technology, I can file a lawsuit here. It'll come out in Maine, right in Augusta. They'll take it right to his door. The cop showed me all about it. So it's
Good.
with the
Because
technology.
states differ. Each state differs. That's good.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. So with
another thing that I thought
stuff.
is that if you just straight take this man to court, he might have nothing. He might have absolutely nothing. That's a more terrifying spot to be, because if you've got nothing to pay, then you've got nothing to pay. If you take him to court and threaten him enough with legal action, he may go to the organization for help, and they will not help him. Right?
I think I would be the congregation itself. I think the congregation itself.
Yeah, and if they sat down to settle, absolutely not. We're taking this to court. I want it out open. I want it out and open. And there's several things they need to hear from me, or that they need to understand. A, this is a cancel culture. B, according to their own words, this is a system. And if you think wants to do damage to God's organization, guess what? A nice fat lawsuit where I win it would be the thing.
It might take you a while, but in a perfect world, we'd have a class action suit.
Right, for abuse. Those brothers dragged that out for 2 months, and I was wondering about statute of limitations because it ran out for any criminal charges, which there were no criminal charges, and it also ran out for civil. But with this guy bringing it up, does that reset the clock up?
This would be slander.
Yeah. But obviously, I have defamation of character. But I'm just wondering, how high can I go? And I think probably just the elders in that congregation, because they've got to report that to Bethel, to the Watchtower. They've got to report that.
Again, I'd love to see a class action suit. Put an ad on TV for anyone in the United States who's been defamed. But that's just a dream.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
And take it to the world courts.
Yes.
Well,
And we'll have Brad do the strategy for us.
While. We're going to be waiting a very long while.
I'll take the notes in my little skirt and heels, Brad.
You have a very good reason to not settle. The reason I would have to not settle is because your reputation has been tarnished publicly. So you need to have that reputation fixed publicly as well. That's why you would never settle a case like this. Money's not going to fix the person down the road or their neighbor or anything. Money's not going to fix anything. So that's a good reason to not settle as well.
But these people are so whacked out with their gossip. Years ago, my wife at the time, her mother was murdered in Buffalo, New York. 20 years later, I'm sitting there at the assembly with my wife at the time. We're just, we're hitting her up back, and I'm all but done. But I'm sitting there with her and my 2 kids, and a friend of mine that I've known for 20 years looked at me and goes, "Are you still with her? I heard that you had murdered her mother." Holy, I've never had the craziest accusations against me. Now, obviously, that never went anywhere. That was just a rumor. But that is the level of psychosis that we're dealing with here. With witnesses.
Hello, Jerry.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, if you don't mind, why does this brother seem to have it out for you? This seems really personal.
You see, and that's the point. So his wife is good friends with my wife. And my I'm that. And inevitably, she brings up all of this. Listen, when I was in the witnesses, my kids were born early. I went to court on the blood issue. So I toed the party line. I was a virgin until I got married. I never smoked a cigarette. All the things that witnesses try to be, I was doing. And the first, drag my name through the mud, and they have nothing to do but talk and speculate and what have you. My daughters don't want to talk about this, but according to him, that he called them and they spoke to him, and I said, no, you didn't speak to them. And he says, no, I didn't. I said, but you lied. What else did you lie about? So,
well, Darren, it seems to me, Darren, that your ex-wife is kind of the source of all this garbage that's going on against you. I mean, my heart goes out to you. I think you've got some really great suggestions on the table, but I don't know if it's going to stop. If the source of all this gossip, which seems to be your ex-wife, if you couldn't reason with her somehow, because I'm just figuring it out until she stops.
Right. He's the only one reaching out. She may be the source, but I would imagine that a nice little lawsuit running around, or at least wind of a lawsuit running around that area, the local parts need will go on to gossiping quite heavily, and they'll shut that down. If they don't, and I hear more about it, well, then, they've set that path, not me. I showed them the path. If they chose to divert from it, there's consequences down there. In the form of a lawsuit. Shut your mouth. You don't need to be talking to me about me like that. Running your mouth to my brother up in Arizona. My kids in Maine. It doesn't need, I feel like I want to be Will Smith. My name out of your mouth.
Well, it does feel terrible, and I don't envy you at all, the position that you're in. I just hope that you can put a stop to where this all began, and maybe
I think so.
it from going on.
Yeah, I think so.
You know your ex-wife best, right?
Yeah. Oh, and that's how I know she's an absolute rock star, having a disfellowship mate that's just out there wreaking havoc, and obviously doesn't have God's Holy Spirit. Is possessed by the devil, obviously. Which is the biggest load of crap I ever heard.
Well, Derek, I have to say, you got some information. You can pursue it. You can take what you heard here tonight. Well, but I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us here tonight. I wish that, we could give you information from a real legal standpoint, that we would have had a lawyer or someone call in. But, pursue it. But I wouldn't spend much money on it. I really wouldn't. I would first of all, I would go after, the person that's doing this, file some type of a claim, even if it's a civil lawsuit, or you might not be able to do it on a crime, but you could do it civilly, that, the man is really harassing me. You could try that route, but still you're going to spend a few bucks, but, maybe you can shut this guy up. But thank you, Darren, for coming on and talking to us. And I want to thank all those people that offered Darren some advice. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much for taking my call tonight.
All right. Well, Darren, listen, don't you ever change. You just keep staying the same. And then hopefully you can get some resolve to all of this. Hopefully it'll all work out. And you're a fellow New Englander, so I give you a special portion of my thoughts here, because I'd like to see you win this against this nutcase that's doing it to you. Thank you, Darren. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your time, Brett.
All righty. You're very welcome. Well, anyways, that kind of brings our program to an end tonight. We have got Joe and Fran. Oh, my goodness. Have you heard their program, The Outside Story? Well, we know the inside story in the Watchtower, but they got the outside story, and they'll be coming on very, very shortly. Boy, these guys are like dynamite. They are really trying to shake up the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They've only been out for less than 2 years, but they want to talk to you tonight. They're coming on next, so we're looking forward to that. Now, just a few announcements. I want to tell you, folks, that I'm really pleased with what I see happening here, the 6 screens. Of course, I am at the control panel, and we're involved with everything that goes on in the network. It channels through here. We have approximately 17 different programs and growing from here. We have programs every Saturday night and every other Sunday, but we do not have a program tomorrow. It will be the following Sunday. But you want to check it out the following Sunday. We have a brand new program by a man who's written a book called The Bible versus the Watchtower. His name is Cochise Pendleton, and he's got his program. He'll be coming on a week from tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So you don't want to miss his program. Now, Cochise talks about some of the social issues, the cultural issues, if you would, that Christians are faced with today. What about the UFOs? Are UFOs going to change the face of Christianity? And what about all this wokeism? Is that really going to change the face of Christianity? Is that here to stay? So he talks around issues like that. So by all means, you want to join Cochise next Sunday, not tomorrow, but a week from Sunday, right here on our 6 Screens Telenetwork. And another thing I wanted to mention too, if you really do like the program, then why don't you like it on Facebook? Just give it a like, and even on YouTube, you can give it a like, and it gets the algorithms moving. Now, this is not monetized. We do not monetize programming, so you don't see any commercials. Nobody's making any money here. It costs us money to do this. So what I'm saying is, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, share it, like it, and let it be known to the algorithms, at least on these social networks, that you want to see this program move forward and help more and more Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I don't want you to become a patron here. I don't want you to send me any money. I don't want that. As a matter of fact, I thank people that have, but please don't send money here to the 6 Screens. I got out of the organization. Nobody charged me a penny. I got out because people were willing to help me and free of charge. So, I don't want you to send money here to the 6 Screens. I want to do this on my own dime. And it does cost, but I feel privileged to be able to help you, to be able to help all of those people that have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So, how you can really make me a happy man. And it even means more to me than you signing up as a patron for $25, $30 a month. I don't want that. What I want from you is, why don't you do this? Well, why don't you get on Reddit, these forums online? Why don't you get on JWN? And why don't you tell people in there about the 6 Screens and how you listen to it? Now, that would help me more than you would ever expect. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw something on the table. If you would do that for me, now we have many people listening to this program, but I'm going to kind of do like a reverse patron here. I don't want your money, but I'm going to send you some prizes. If you can show me that you can have the guts to stand up and post some of the things to learn here from the 6 Screens on Reddit, post it on Facebook, post it on JWN, and say, I learned this from the 6 Screens, and I really like the program. I watched the program. I hope that you watch the program. I'll have a very special prize for you. I really, really will. And you'll be very surprised what it will be. So why don't you do that for me? That's all I'm asking. But we've been doing the program now for going on 20 years. It's actually 18 years. It'll be 19 years here soon. But I really thank you guys for coming in, listening. We do it every Saturday night. We've never missed a Saturday night. So go ahead and support the program that way. Spread the word. Let people know what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, anyways, let me just check our other room here. We'll see if Joe and Fran are on with us. And I see they're not on here yet. So maybe we can talk a little bit more. We're waiting for them. I know they were out tonight, but they were going to be coming. Maybe they got stuck in traffic. But anyways, they should be coming on here shortly. But, other things, too, that I want to mention. We've been, like I say, doing the programs going on 19 years now. And let's see now, I get mixed up on that. Is it 18, 19 years, but it'll be January 26th. I believe it's 19, but I'll have to check. As you get older here, you begin to get mixed up with numbers. But anyways, let me just say this, okay? We are so glad that we are now reaching more people than ever. We are on StreamYard. You probably noticed that. Not only are we broadcasting on YouTube, but we're also on a number of Facebook groups and, Facebook groups that are speaking about the Jehovah's Witnesses. And what is the fetish? Well, the fetish right now is people are really moving into these platforms, the 6 screens, Reddit, listening to YouTube videos all about ex-Jehovah's Witnesses speaking up and talking. The reason why they're doing it because lots of people right now are leaving the Watchtower, and they're trying to find answers. They don't know for sure, like you and I didn't know when we first were coming out of the organization. We didn't really want to hear all of this. We didn't want to believe all of it. So right now we have a lot of people that are searching around and they're trying to find answers to what's going on in their religion. I believe we have Michael King. You want to come on and say something, Michael? Go ahead.
How you doing?
I'm good.
I just finished the service today in a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio. It was about talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. They did a radio show out ahead of me, and this church was packed. It was full. And when we got talking about the witnesses and everything, I asked them a question. I said, now, if a witness comes to your door, well, what did you do? And most of the people that went around the room, most of the people said, oh, we just shoot them off, And I said, well, now you have the opportunity to tell them about a Christ that they don't know about. And I can show you how to do this. And I want to tell you, when I left that room, so many people came up to me tonight, thanked me for that. They said, they seemed emboldened that they could actually talk back, and say something and leave a message for Christ. And I'm so pumped up. So I'm glad I got to talk to you. So anyway, but I wanted to tell you that yes, there are thousands of people leaving, and there are people that are witnesses right now listening to this show. And I know you don't talk about religious things on Saturday, but I know that there's people out there listening that are witnesses, and I want to tell them, please don't make the same mistake I made. I went 10 years turning against God after I left this organization, and you don't have to do this. You can find the true Jesus. You have him in your heart. You don't have to turn away from God. So that'd be my message for tonight.
Well, that's a good question for the night. That's a good. Well, thank you. I can tell you're pumped up. I can tell that you're really excited, and that's great. I'm so glad you had an opportunity to speak. Good man, Michael. We love you, buddy. You're a good guy. Don't you ever change. You just keep staying Michael. Okay.
All right, good. Thank you.
All right. Well, anyways, we're waiting for Fran and Joe to come on with the outside story. We're looking forward to that. Boy, I'll tell you what. It's just amazing to me what's going on. You heard the news tonight. We had Barbara Anderson on earlier. I mean, you guys, the witnesses have got to be waking up and smelling the coffee. Dick Borgie, what do you got to say out there in California? What's up, Dick?
Yeah, good evening, Rick. I just want to say something, reiterate something I say all the time with 6 Screens. This is a marvelous program on 6 Screens. It's casting light into the darkness of the Watchtower. It's Satan's organization. It's not our Heavenly Father's organization. If you know what you're hearing is the truth, tell somebody. Send them an anonymous phone card or anonymous postcard, or write them a letter, or let's leave something on their voicemail. Tell them the hours of 6 Screens. Tell them the phone number. Tell them just to listen in. It will change their life. And also let the audience know that on the 8th of this month, your dad turns 100. And we really hope you all live your dad. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. I hope I will too. I mean, that would be a wonderful thing. So maybe we'll be doing the program still when I'm 100 years old. If that's the case, I'll thank God for that. But we are really seeing things, friends, that we got to really just stop and think about this. We are seeing things like we've never seen it before. And after doing the program for as many years as we have, I can honestly report to you that There's never been this much cynical, negative news in the Watchtower. Let me just clear my throat. Excuse me. But I can tell you, there's never been this much negative news in the Watchtower and cynical news. The Watchtower is tanking. And, you know, people, I used to say that even years ago because I could see this all starting to come about. And now I'm saying it, and there's still people listening in this audience tonight. They're saying, Rick, that's not the case. How could that be the case? Well, you just listen to a man, Dick Borgie. He's part of the Six Screens protest team. Well, him and Connie Noonan and some others were with us at our protest here in Massachusetts a month ago. And we had Jehovah's Witnesses acting like I've never seen them act before. I mean, we've talked about it, maybe we heard it before on the Six Screens in the last couple of weeks. But people were beeping the horns, they were giving us a thumbs up, they were taking pictures of us. We were so pleased to see that. And then if you follow GOAT Personality, that's the name he goes by. He's an ex-Jehovah's Witness that does protesting over in Europe. He was in Sweden last week doing a protest, and he had a woman on there that was doing a protest, a young girl really, and they were doing the protest in Sweden. And the same thing, he said the same thing was happening, that people were coming up, they were talking to him when he was protesting. This is a new dimension, you could say. All of a sudden, something has changed. Borgie and I and others have protested for years, but we never seen the response that we just seen in the last month. So what does this tell you? I mean, come on now. I want you to just think. You don't have to read any books. You don't have to get online and check it out. You guys are all smart enough. If you got witnesses leaving a convention that are giving you thumbs up, smiling at you, how are you going to read that? You're going to say, man, there's something going on here. They're happy to see the apostates. That means that they're beginning to doubt the organization. That means they're glad that people have the courage and the nerve to speak up. And this idea of don't protest, Rick, because you're just feeding into their persecution complex, that is a myth. That is a myth and a half. That is not true. Protesting works. Protesting changes government. Protesters change society. Protests can bring the Watchtower down. And if there was ever enough people that could just do it, just stand up, get out there and do it. If we could ever get 100, if we ever get 200 people in a protest, it could really speak volumes. It would be all over the newspaper. People wonder, why are these guys protesting? But man, I'll tell you, getting people to come and protest is like cutting teeth. It's very, very difficult. I would wish more people would do it. I'm not going to put a gun to your back. But, you know, you've been talking for years here. All of us have been talking together. We all want to bring the Watchtower down. We all have ideas of doing it.
Hi, Rick.
Yes. You're on with us.
Yeah, Rick, it's Tim. I just got a couple of thoughts just quickly about what you're saying. The Bible does say, without going too deep, that in the end times, knowledge would become abundant. And you're finding there's more of an information war on all levels. So what's happening is society is getting polarized. So with news, you've got two sources of news which are pointing opposite directions. With the witness organization, how you were saying years ago, it was more, like a friendlier organization. It's getting more extreme. So what that is, in all aspects of our life, you're forced to make a choice between the information that you're receiving. So you either double down or you take you make a break from it. That's on all levels in society at this point. And there's going to be witnesses that are going to think that this whole leaving the organization thing is encouragement, because it's like, well, the Bible says that there's going to be an apostasy, a turning away, and to them witnesses, that's just going to be a fulfillment of that. And so they're going to be encouraging each other, the ones that love it, backslapping and thinking that it's good. But the people that are seeing the other side of the story, that are waking up from it, they're choice, and that's just the way that news, like if you know what I mean, on every level of society, people are being forced to make choices that they've never had to make before, because your opinion for or against now is, I mean, on certain levels, you can't even have an opinion anymore. Otherwise, you're going to be cancelled. And that, to me, that's what's happening with the witnesses. I just think that they're going to go down. Like, I mean, the Bible does say, that the love of people will cool off in their Bible, but that's not talking about the witnesses. That's just talking about Christianity in general, and they're part of the problem, you know. And another point I'd like to say is, once you could say that you probably get a foundational grasp of Christianity from becoming a witness, you might, learn the basics and then move on. But I would say now it's at such a crap level, you can't even listen to it anymore. It's just not worth it. Like, I've tried to listen to a few of the broadcasts, and it's just relentless propaganda. Once you might have got some Bible topics, but it's just that far removed from Christianity now. It's just like more, do what the governing body says, and that's about it. Anyway, that's just a few thoughts there. Thanks, Rick.
Well, Tim, always good to hear from you, calling in all the way from Australia. Thank you. Thank you very much. We always appreciate listening to you. Well, you're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, still an extension of JW World News, but we're waiting for Joe and Fran. I know they said they were going out tonight, and maybe they got stuck in traffic. We hope everything's all well with them and doing fine. What we're going to do here, we're going on 15 minutes. What we'll do is, if they're not on here in, say, 5 or 10 minutes, what I'm going to do is we'll go ahead with the program. And maybe we have someone listening in tonight that thinks they could kind of hold the program down for a little bit. Maybe you could test your abilities here tonight on the Six Screens. If you think you'd like to come on and kind of host the program until Joe and Fran ever come in, maybe they might not come in. But at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, we actually go to a good friend Eric down in Nashville, Tennessee. But if you guys, if there's anyone out there that would like to come in and kind of host a program and kind of fill in for Joe and Fran tonight, boy, we'd love to have you do that. I see some people starting. Yes.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
All right, Dick, well, you hang in there. So what we'll do, if I don't hear from Joe and Fran, I'll give them another few minutes. But if not, and we'll bring you on, and when they do come on, then you can just kind of bow out and let them go on. But in the meantime, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. Where
Oh, are you on? Okay.
Yeah, can you see us?
Hold on one second. You been?
Been on for about half an hour.
Oh, you have been. Well, I don't see you.
Okay, do you want us to get back on again? We're on StreamYard.
You're on StreamYard, but I don't see it. No. What link did you hit?
Well, you want us to do it again?
Well, give me the number that you hit.
Hold on. I don't know. They're already on it. Okay. We got to go back.
Oh, okay. Well,
There's several streams.
okay. Yeah, right here.
does it end with six? Does it end with 65?
I think so. Okay, we're going to enter the studio again.
Okay.
Let's check your camera and mic. Okay, do you see us?
No. No.
We're on.
Okay, because we're using this thing.
All
Yeah,
right.
because sometimes it messes up the audio. Okay, we'll try it on our iPad.
All right. Go ahead. Try it on your iPad. But that's good. Well, thank you. That's good. I should have probably asked if you guys were on, but I figured you were out. So I was just hoping you weren't
Yeah,
stuck in
it's on 65. The last digits were on 65.
Okay, that's the link. Yeah. That's the link. So just take your time. No worries. No, we can just kind of go nice and slow here. Don't put any pressure on you.
Email. Okay.
Well, I'll end the program over here, so you guys do that.
Okay.
And I'll end this program, and then we'll be getting you guys up and rolling. All right. So, anyways, folks, I want to thank you all for coming in tonight to JW World News. And of course, that's the news, as we always know, the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But anyways, we appreciate you coming in. We want you to keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up or out. Keep waving the flag of victory. And the last one leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We're going to Fran and Joe. They'll be up next right here on the Six Screens Tele-Network. And thank you, Dick, for wanting to come in. I didn't realize Joe and Fran were trying to get in. So thank you very much, Dick, for that. Always great that you want to step up the bat. I appreciate it. I know you're in the bullpen, Dick, and thank you. All right, so we'll end the broadcast right here.